Hello, this is Yulia Brown with As Real as They Come Dallas. We are here with Jennifer Lauren, Magda Delamain, and Jason Brown. We'll be talking a little bit about coronavirus. So if you don't have your mask on yet, please get one. I got one. Not sure if that's the right kind, but hey, it works. We are in the virtual world, so any kind of thing like this mask will help unless it's a virtual virus, then we're in a total different ball game there. But let's hear from each guest and see where we are and where we're from and what we got going on.
Yeah, this is uncharted territory for all of us. And to say it isn't scary, I think, is an understatement. I've been going back and forth, I think I have to put aside where it came from and kind of look forward to, what we have to do to keep our families, our businesses, our economy, our world kind of going forward. And it's been a struggle. I mean, I've argued with members of my family. I've had to say I'm sorry. And I think everybody needs to do a little bit of that and have a little cooler head. So I'm looking for some sunshine. I'm looking for this thing to kind of burn itself out. And I heard something the other day, and it really made a lot of sense to me. All storms run out of rain, and this one, it'll be the same. So there'll be the other side of it. I think everybody who's read the good book, they all know this is not how it ends. I think we'll all we'll be together on the other side of it. So that's what I'm hoping and praying for right now.
I just hope this storm runs out before we run out of humans. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But you have to have some humor in this little gray mess that's hanging over us right now. What do you think, Magda? Tell us a little bit more about yourself. I know our viewers already met Jason, my better half, but a few words about you.
So my name is Magda Delamain. I am an environmental scientist. I work in downtown Dallas. I have a pretty strong background in the sciences, not necessarily biology. I also volunteer pretty heavily with a local dog rescue called the Love Pit. So I like to talk a lot about my two adorable dogs and the Love Pit in general. But as far as the coronavirus is concerned, certain people in my family are preppers. I personally am not, but I have a lot of knowledge and experience as far as prepping for either a natural disaster or a man-made disaster, and I have a lot of thoughts and observations about the hysteria. I'm going to call it the hysteria that's been going on with the toilet paper and all that other kind of stuff. But we can get more into that, I think, a little bit later. And Jennifer can introduce yourself.
Yeah. Well, they know me. They got to see me on the last one. I think I'm a lot like all of you with this whole thing. I mean, I've had so many mixed feelings, and mine hasn't been so much wrapped around the virus itself, because I look at this and I think we're going to get through this virus. We're going to get through that part of it. My big thing is the economy. It's what's going to happen to us, the wave of anxiety, depression, all of the after our children, all of it's just, I have this very unsettling feeling inside right now about this. And it's one of those things like it's very difficult. Somebody just put something on Facebook a few minutes ago about, how we talk about, we have brain fog and all this. We have like the corona fog. It's hard for everybody to think past what is going on right now. And I'm trying desperately just to keep moving on what can I do? What can I do to work on keeping some sanity within my own home? I've got one kid in Denton working right now still at a Montessori school. I've got one in Southern Arkansas in a campus that's half open, half down, and I haven't been able to get her home yet. It's all these things that we're all wrestling with as parents and non-parents, period. We're all of our lives are turned upside down. So I think we're all wrestling with a lot of those same emotions, just to varying degrees. You know what I mean? So I think we're all in that together. And we'll get through this. I do believe we're going to get through it, but I don't think it's just going to be this total easy path of us waking up tomorrow. We're all back on to normal, our normal lives again. So
yeah,
fun stuff.
Yeah, well, personally, the closest I've got to something of this magnitude was during Hurricane Katrina, which was literally 15 years ago this August.
Yes.
And I remember the hysteria. That's when you find out who's who and what people are made of, when some people just rush in to save their families and their pets, while others are trying to grab 4 or 5 TVs out of the Best Buy or whatever else. I just hope we never get to that level nationwide, because that was localized to just one state and one city in particular. But it's really is scary, because personally, I am not a person to give into hysteria, but knowing that right now I am not by myself, I have a child that I'm responsible for, and I will give my left arm or whatever else to make sure that she's okay. And then I have immune compromised mother in the family. So I honestly do not have a right to even go and put myself through that kind of risk and give in. But what really concerning to me is, what's the ripple effect of this disaster? What are we going to deal with? Like, people who are in service industry, these people do not have a backup plan. And my question is, what's the government's plan for this kind of disaster? It's a huge country. It is a very big country, so it's a huge responsibility. And what is there to come? Do you guys have any thoughts about that?
So I have a little bit in government, not so much as like the politics and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure that we're supposed to have a plan for this. Like, I mean, it is like, there is studies, there are people that spend their whole lives, their whole careers studying when for pandemics, or other natural disasters and man-made disasters and stuff like that. So there are studies out there. There are people that have researched this, looked into what's the best way in case this happens, or what's the best way to react in case this happens. And I mean, on one hand, like, I want to throw shade, I guess, at the current administration, because they have been, in my opinion, they've been dropping the ball on this. They should have. I'm not saying that any one current presidential candidate or former presidential candidate would have handled this better or handled this in the perfect way, but for this specific administration, I think they have just dropped the ball. For one thing, President Trump keeps providing false information, and he has very devoted followers that take his word as gospel. And there are several health officials that have gone out there and said, we're concerned that the President Trump is making this worse because of how he is, not just how he is handling the situation, but also what he is saying about it, and how his followers, the people that look up to him, are going to react based off of what he says. That being said, a friend of mine recently told me that it's all well and good to talk about politics in a time like this, but what we should be doing is trying to help our fellow man. Like not necessarily going out of our way and putting ourselves at risk to help people, but, take care of yourself first, take care of your family first. And then after that, ask yourself, what can I do to help the people around me?
Absolutely. You're 100% correct.
Yeah. So, I mean, at the beginning of this coronavirus, I honestly wasn't taking it seriously. And I was mostly paying attention to what the government was doing and making fun of the government. But like he kind of opened my eyes, and I was like, wow, I mean, I should pay attention to the government, what the government is doing. I should remember what they're saying, what they're doing. But I should also put that more in the back of my mind and put the well-being of myself and my neighbors towards the forefront.
I could add to that too. I think my stance on this is I've never from day one trusted the government. I don't trust any of them. So I mean, my whole argument with all of this has been, you know, all of this data that they're bringing to us. I mean, I don't trust the media either. I don't listen to any of it, honestly. I get what I need out of it, but we've done a lot of basing things off of, I guess, you know, when I look at like Italy or China, for example, now they're finally, there's two things I'll say. I'll say there hasn't been enough emphasis on how do we solve our problem. And our problem is bigger than just slapping Band-Aids, you know, putting Band-Aids on people. It's a bigger problem here. We have a lot of consumerism that goes on. So I go deep into this, and I think it's a bigger problem even to that, into the health and wellness of people. But if you look at these countries, even like think about like China, you know, they're now saying a lot of these men that had died, that was, I guess, their highest category, were smokers. So a lot of this stuff is the stuff that has really boggled me, is because they're not telling us all these facts. We're hearing bits and pieces of all these different things. And the problem is, there are a few of us that go, okay, I have to look at the facts. Like, I really want to know everything before I base my decision on this many people have died. I want to know everything. What are they eating? How's their life? Like, what are they doing? Because to me, that is important. I need to know that, right? And that's the information that's not being conveyed to the people. And the problem is we have so many people that follow, whether it's Trump or the media, either side, and whatever is said on those outlets, that's what they take. I mean, that's what they take as value, and they think nothing beyond that. So this whole thing has driven me crazy on so many different levels, but it's almost like I've always said this, because I've been in health and wellness for a while. Nobody does anything until we hit a crisis. When we get pinned against a wall, people make change. Do they not? That's when they make change. So what I hope out of all of this, when it comes down, when we get finished with all this, I hope somewhere along the line, some people step up and start talking. Like, make some different, you know, make some changes, because now we're running around here really trying to, and I get it, we want to help everybody get through this, right? But we're running around here like crazy people trying to clean up a mess that, yeah, maybe we couldn't have prevented the virus. Those are always going to be there, but we can help ourselves. We can help us as people, you know? And if I've learned anything, you know, relying on the government, yeah, give that part up. Give that up. Fight for yourself, you know, and your family. So you are the most important person first. I always talk about the airplane. You know, you put your mask on first, and then you help the person next to you. You're no good if you're dead, right? So
yeah, no doubt.
I make a little fun of this in the process. We got to laugh a little bit, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as citizens, and I love the point of how you say, do not rely on government or some fancy celebrity coming out. Well, you have to do this during the virus situation. Well, lady, when was the last time you went to a regular Kroger, Albertsons, Kmart, or whatever else to shop for your own groceries, to go to a regular doctor to deal with everyday life? I'm sorry, no offense.
Wait, real quick. When was the last time either of us went to a Kmart?
I was thinking the same thing.
Well, I'm
Walmart,
thinking,
Kmart,
even exists.
I mean, I went to a Walmart the other day, but I think the last time I went to a Kmart was, oh my God, I think it was like close to 10 years ago.
But
maybe you should try going to Gibson's. They have fine fishing equipment.
Oh my goodness. I'm like, what is that one?
I don't even know what that is.
How about that? No, but the thing is, these are localized stores. They are large chains, and there's just certain things that come to mind, because I lived in many different east side states, like New Orleans is more of a south, but the Louisiana region. Then I lived in Florida region, in New York, and Michigan. I mean, all of these places, they got their own large chains, but I get your point. It's like a certain one of them we haven't heard for a while, or we just like Circle K. I mean, I saw Circle K going to prosper. I was like, whoa. Like, that's around. A dinosaur. Right? They are. And so my main point is that people that we see on TV and we give so many props to and so much authority to, they don't even know what everyday person has to deal with. I mean, do they know how much gas costs? I bet you will quote, like, get a couple of them in the room without any prep and say, what's today's price on gasoline? They're like, well, I don't know. So, yeah, but they won't tell you how much Louboutins do.
I can see how some celebrities can be like that, but I don't feel comfortable putting that on everyone. Like, some celebrities are definitely in their own world, like they are the center of the universe. They don't know what's going on. They only know what they care about looking into.
Let's put it on hype of their career. Yeah, I mean, on hype of their career, I'm pretty sure they're very much isolated. But MC Hammer, for instance, he probably knows what the real life is. He was at the high, he was at the low, and he's a great artist. And I mean, I respect people for what they do, but I cannot put all my eggs in one basket and like, oh my God, I love your songs, but you're also God, and I'm gonna follow your direction on politics, on what to do during pandemic or anything like that. Same goes for politicians. They do what they do, but in reality, they don't deal with everyday stuff that we deal with.
Yeah. That's where research comes in. That's where you have to do your investigation.
Take care of your health.
Yeah.
That's
my big thing. I mean, it's like, it's one of those things again. I mean, but I always say you have to hit that point when you hit that point. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that I keep preaching with everybody is it starts with you. For me, you have to stop saying that your health is somebody else's problem. It's not somebody else's problem. It's really yours. I mean, at the end of the day, you're fighting viruses. I feel like every single day of your life, you're fighting them, and I always make the comment that as we go down the street every day, I mean, really people are hazards to us all the time because people are fighting stuff every day. You know what I mean? And so you're always in that position. And yes, this virus is, they're saying it is easier to catch, and it does have, for the elderly, it is pretty severe, but again, I think the bottom line is we have to take accountability for us and our health and who we are. And the minute we turn that over and give that power to somebody else, that's when we become fearful because now we're victims of what's going on. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm scared, and it's not the virus that I'm afraid of. I'm going to come out of that one. I'm not afraid of that. I'm afraid of all the crazies out there. I'm afraid of the people fighting over toilet paper. And, the minute somebody doesn't have money for when their job ceases and they have no money and you've got food and they know that, we don't know what we're dealing with. That's the kind of stuff that makes me fearful. It makes me fearful for my kids. I worry more about them,
One thing that I think about is after this is done and the wreckage of the economy, I mean, it will only take 2 or 3 weeks of businesses not producing that they will go out and they won't come back. And, and you'll have a lot of people who are displaced and people become desperate. And that's when your survival instinct will kick in. And I think we all think about the information that we're getting and which side you want to fall on or where it comes from is going to be secondary because you're going to have the reality in front of you of, places you're driving down the street that were open a month ago and now they're closed and they don't come back. And you've got a lot of displaced people that don't have the income. You mentioned earlier about the service industry people. And, I grew up in a background of that. And I know firsthand when you lose that immediate cash income, it's tough. You're looking for resources. I was having a conference call this morning with my business partners, and we were talking about, how thankful we are that we have each other. And you've got to have that kind of network, but not everybody does. They don't have that kind of network. They end up doing desperate things. So, the ripple effect of it will be here with us for a while. We manage a lot of property, and, we're trying to look ahead as to what happens with those people that don't pay. And, the tough part about it is, people that have investments and they can't get their money for that, then they're going to be out there too. So it's going to be difficult for everybody. We got to kind of look at the situation and kind of tap the brakes and not look at each other like a number. But it's going to be a struggle for the business end of it for a while, and it'll make money will be hard to move. It'll be hard to get, acquisition to funds to do projects, this kind of thing. So the ripple effect's going to be with us for a while. And we don't know where it's going. As I said, I hope the sun shines pretty soon and burns this thing out.
Yeah, it's definitely
100%. 100% on all of that. That's exactly where I'm at.
Mm-hmm. My best friend, he lives in California, and he called me just a little bit before we started our talk right now, and he has a pretty good job in the service industry. He's like a manager of a couple different restaurants, and one of them shut down. The other one is only doing carry out, but he essentially, like, his hours were cut more in half, like not even in half. They were cut to like a quarter. He was starting to freak out. He's like, I mean, he is normally financially stable, but when his work just cuts it out like that, he doesn't have anywhere else to go. Fortunately for him, he recently got a job offer with a more stable company that's not in the service industry. So he's mostly just trying to make sure that goes through as fast as possible so he can go back to getting a stable paycheck. But he told me a little bit about what's going on in California, and essentially everything. People aren't just going crazy, like going out there and trying to buy toilet paper, but people have no idea what's going on, and they have no idea how to function when life changes on them. And I mean, I feel like people in Dallas are handling it a little bit better. Granted, in Dallas, it's happening a little bit more slowly here. And I think we're fortunate in that our government agencies, like the mayor and everything like that, they've been a little bit more what is it?
Prepared, maybe,
proactive versus reactive. And some of the other bigger cities haven't really had that chance, or maybe they had the chance, but they didn't jump on it when they should have. But from my friend's account, like, shit's getting really messed up in California because people are not used to the drastic changes there. So.
Yeah, and California is a whole different animal, just like Texas is. It's very hard to compare either one of these states to the rest of the United States because both states have their own very distinctive culture. And like California, for instance, most of their prosperity, let's put it like that, or most of the income of people is in the hospitality business. And I feel my heart goes out to these people because I'm really hoping that this all will blow over very quickly. And back to how we can be accountable ourselves, like I love what Jennifer said. We cannot have everyone else accountable for our health because we must prepare ourselves also for anything. This is just one of the things that came through, but what other diseases that we're not prepared for? And it's gonna really test the integrity of our immune system. And most of the things, when you go to the store, even the healthiest ones, healthy aisle, you read everything is perfect, but then you hit the sugar content and it's 16 grams, 36 grams, 64 grams, but it's only 140 calories or whatever. But you have to look at the sugar content because that's what feeds your inflammation in your body. That's what feeds cancer, because we all have cancer cells. It's just a matter of how much stress we endure and how much sugar we consume. I'm guilty of it. I love my wine, and absolutely,
that's not the worst. That's not the worst.
Hey, don't bring that up.
It's not the worst thing.
No.
The thing is,
no.
What about
Western diet?
Whiskey is actually probably better than wine. But the thing is like you even see people with compromised immune system. And you're like, okay, what do you do? Well, I'm guilty. I haven't changed my diet. Well, your diet is 95% of that. Yes. We live in society. Big is beautiful. Yes, it is. Healthy is beautiful. Is where it's at. It's not the skinny. It's not bigger. It's not anything. It's healthy. It's up to us to make sure that we do exercise, that we do watch what we put in our mouth, and we just have to teach our children to do the same. Just get rid of
language.
That's right, girl.
I talk about this all the time. It's like I'm beating the wall all the time, telling people. It's like I always say, we are vehicles. You can't put diesel in a car that takes gasoline. And people think that they can continue to eat these foods. I mean, French fries every once in a while, yes. Every day, no. It's like I just keep telling people this all the time, and nobody changes until that something. Unfortunately, we have a virus. I'm hoping, like I said, out of this, people come out and go, man, you know what? I should work on my health now. So the next time we get one of these, I feel confident I'm going to survive that thing.
Well, the part that I think we don't have control of, and you talked about immunity, and building up our defenses against these things, and how many times, hey buddy, and how many times this is going to happen. I mean, if this happened this year, what's going to stop it from next year? And the next year and the next year, and the health of our economy after this round is not going to be good anytime soon. So we're going to have to figure out, how do we chart through this? And I think that's like with any flu, it's hard to fight it. And if you're in a risk, factor that if you get this, you're in trouble. Most of us that are healthy are going to recover from it. And most people have. Whatever we do at this point is going to be a knee-jerk reaction. Either we acted too slow or we did too much and it killed business. So I don't think there's any winners in this. I don't think anybody's going to come out the other side, but I am concerned with, what happens next cold and flu season. We get another named flu that we don't have any remedy for. What's our plan of attack there? And we can criticize whoever's in the White House or whoever's in control of the CDC or whatever it is. I think at the end of it, we can take care of ourselves, but if the powers that be are charting where we're going on this thing, it's a difference. Are you a citizen? Are you a subject? And what I don't want to be is a subject. That means anything that they choose to do to me, they're going to be able to do it. And right now they're demonstrating a little draconian in my view. And that's my view. And I'm entitled to it because it's still America. But when somebody come in and just tell you they're going to shut you down, they're going to shut everybody down, that's, how far reaching is that? Some cities are on board with that and some are not. But I think eventually here in the next week, and most people are probably going to get on board with that just to quell what's happening. And I don't know that I disagree with it, but it's kind of far reaching. How far is it going to go? I don't know. That's what's a little bit scary. I think, Jane, you mentioned that before. Yeah. That's the same thing that I'm feeling. That's where my unsettling feelings coming from. That's where it's coming from. It's not the fact that I'm not in agreement that we need to get this under grips. Like, we need to get this fixed. I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing might be a concern that's got this unsettling feeling inside of me is the reaching. How far are we going to go? Like, we're pulling a lot of civil liberties here. We're like stretching over and over. And it's at what point, do they say, tomorrow we get up and there's something else that, and then the other question is, again, when you talk about this the next time, now we know what happens when we have a crisis. We know the mass hysteria. We know what the media is going to do. We know what's going to happen. What's the next time going to look like? That's the stuff that scares me. What's the next time look like, Well,
here's my
So I understand like what you're saying, but I'd also like to reflect a little bit that so yes, I agree with the measures that our government has been, I agree to a certain extent with certain things that our government has done to try to quell this outbreak, to nip it in the bud, or at the very least, make the best of this horrible situation. I already mentioned before how I do not agree with like what Trump is saying and all that other stuff, but there are certain aspects that I do agree with. I'm more concerned about what the current administration is doing and what they're going to try to do because of their past, because of their history. If going back in our history, if other administrations handled this exact same situation, I don't want to talk about, I don't want to like, not talk about it, but I don't want to discuss like how they would have handled it differently versus Trump, but more if they handled it the exact same way, I would feel more comfortable because in certain other administrations, they weren't so dictatorial previously. So I'm not saying Trump is a dictator. Obviously he's not, but he's trying to run a country the same way you run a business, in which whatever he says goes. That's not how our government is supposed to work. That's not how our government is supposed to work. So my concerns from the government doing, like, making their whatever it is that they're doing, my concern isn't necessarily that the government has the power to do that. My concern is we put people in power for which I am concerned that they're going to abuse that power or put us in the situation where we are right now, which is where, you know, you're supposed to be able to trust your politicians, your government, your people in power to a certain extent. You shouldn't have to question, like, oh, are they question them, yes, but not, you know, be severely concerned that they're going to be I'm losing my words on this.
I think I'm understanding what you're saying. I think it's the abuse. Am I hearing this right? It may be the abuse of power.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, because that's kind of, but I think that may be what we're all kind of saying, a little bit of that. We're all feeling this little bit of uncertainty that there may be some things imposed upon us that are really not what the people would have all collectively said or put this person in there. So I get what you're saying, because there's a very difference between being a leader and managing a business. They're both leaders, they're both roles, but they're dealt very differently. Because leaders work for their people. And leaders take, you know, and managers manage people. So I get what you're saying, and I can absolutely respect that. And I think we're all feeling a little bit of that uncertainty, because I think what you're saying, I'm listening to it, and it's really a lot of what I'm feeling inside is we don't really know that the next thing that they put on there is that they're just going to do it, you know, like they're just going to do this because they're just going to do it, you know? And I think that's what I'm fearing, is that they're going to come in. I keep looking at everything every day, and I keep seeing people talk about this martial law. I keep seeing this all over Facebook, and I'm like, I got to turn it off. So then guess what I'm doing? I'm in there digging, pulling up Fox, looking to see what the presidents talk. Are they talking about this? Is it real? You know? And so I think we're all feeling that little bit. I mean, I know I am, and I'm not going to speak for Jason and Yuli, but I think that's kind of what we're all resonating here, is that that little bit of that reaching and just different words, you know.
I must agree with you too. And I think it's really not just local United States government. I truly believe that it was really mishandled on the global level, because in reality, we must be, in 2020, we should be prepared for things of this magnitude, because waiting until, you know, let's say, like we say in Russia, like my husband's favorite phrase, until the fried rooster will start singing, we'll just sit there and start solving the problem. We should be more preventative than we are solving. My dog agrees with me, as a matter of fact.
My cat just went out too. I don't want to get it back out.
But the thing is, I honestly think we should have a certain protocol in place that educated from elementary school all the way to high school. It's like a fire drill. You want to teach people how to get out of the burnt building. We should have some kind of stimulus allocated by government to help people survive during certain periods of time. You will call IRS, they will tell you what the minimum amount is per person for gas, for water, for anything, for food. But that's what we should have, a little bit less of these blown up social programs that try to please everyone, which is absolutely impossible. There should be a whole different system to vet this kind of programs. But in reality, this is the real problem. This is what we should be ready for. And this is what we should have stimuluses for. And if you've got two hands, two legs, you should be working. I mean, I'm sorry. And I might be wrong. I might be right. I don't know. Some people may agree or disagree. And I understand that we all have different needs and wants, and you cannot be good for everyone. But basic plan should be in place. And people like Magda's friend in California, these kind of people should be backed up by government. And luckily, some businesses were able to work from home, and that's beautiful. That's wonderful. But what about others? And it's probably 80% out there that cannot work from home and does not have that luxury. I honestly think that right now it's the time for world government come together, stop fighting over minutia stuff, over stuff that doesn't matter, and start fighting for the lives of the people that they're leaders of, you know, because it's very important.
Yeah, I think one last point I'd put on government backing us up. I think the difficulty anytime you take anything from someone, you limit your choices. And at some point, they can turn that off. And that's probably when you look at who's able to control the flow of currency, then you get in trouble. And, you know, we all need to have our own personal plan, because in the end, I think history has shown that governments, given the opportunity, will take advantage of their people, and you become a subject instead of a citizen. And I don't want to put myself in a position where I have to rely upon the government to back me up, because at the end of it, they're there to seat their own power. And unfortunately, they don't look like they're there to represent us, whether each side of the aisle you want to be on. I just don't think that they have. I think there's good people in government. I also think there's bad people in government. And it's a matter of who's winning that tug of war at the moment. And it doesn't feel good or right to me right now, you know, because I don't look to either side and go, wow, they're really looking out for Jason and his family, you know, and I don't want to wake up one morning and go, well, the only place I can get any resources are from my government, because as soon as they turn it on, they can also be the ones to turn it off. So that's something I think that we need to be aware of and be wary of.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think that's what's going on, is we all feel vulnerable right now. We feel extremely vulnerable because we right now can't live our lives the way we've intended to live them. And the things, you know, it's funny because I'm talking about the health and you're talking about the financial. These are the two very things that you can't live without being healthy, and you can't live without money. You know, and
not this place.
And you need to have both in place, your health and your money. You have them in place, you know? Yeah. I'm panicking. My husband's still working right now. Thankfully, he's in the gas industry, but you know, at some point, this is all going to overflow. And they're doing, I mean, he's going into the office, but they're doing a lot of the employees are staying home. They're trying to weed them out so that only the people, he's a manager, you know, the people that need to get in there and oversee things that have to be done are going in there. But, you know, my kids don't even get it. They're like, oh, we're out of school, you know, and I'm like, oh, you just don't get it. You don't get the big picture. You're having fun with us. I'm panicking inside right now. Yeah. You're just trying to keep it together, you know, but I mean, I say we'll get through it, but I agree with you 100%. You need to know that you, at the end of the day, are responsible for you at the end of the day. I mean, it is what it is. And I think we
are responsible, but here's another thing too, and I will leave the whole government thing alone. I think if it was a lot more transparent, and if there are things going to change, now is the perfect time to do so, because us citizens, we want more transparency. This is why when we see the news and we have multiple sources of all of this information, it's just basically thrown up all over us. This is not healthy, because we don't trust what we see on Fox. We don't trust what we see on CNN. We don't trust what we see on NBC or any other major network, because he says, she says. It's like mom and dad are fighting while us children, quote unquote, citizens, trying to figure out who is right, mommy or daddy. Is it the Republicans or is it the Democrats? It shouldn't be like that. It should be, okay, your system, your proposal, your programs are stronger than our programs. And I don't want to hear what's going on, what kind of dirty laundry is happening there. It all should be handled, and we shouldn't even be involved. It's like, well, your daddy said this, your mommy said that. And you cannot turn on a radio station or a TV station without hearing somebody's talking dirt about the other person or the other establishment. We should be more involved, and we should hear more about what are they going to do for us versus who did who, with who, when 20 years ago, 50 years ago. I don't care personally. Yes, there are a lot of rotten people out there, and they're not just in government. But the thing is, let's not stir up all of that in public while you're trying to cover up the problem that we don't have functional programs in place to help and aid us during the periods of time like this. I'm independent. I mean, I don't care. I'm one of those people that will vote for the program and not the person. And stability, because I have an American child citizen to raise, and I want only the best for her, and I want the best for this country or entire world to begin with. So I want to wish everybody happy St. Patrick's Day on a happy note.
Yeah, I got my green on.
You did.
Hey. Okay, Magda needs to.
Magda, we're sending you a virtual pinch. Do you have green on?
Yeah.
What? I mean, I have green leggings on.
She has a green wall. She's in the green room.
Yeah,
she does. I can see it. It is green.
Good job.
I like it. It's a cool green.
Yeah.
So we're all super green.
All right. Well, this was fun.
Yeah.
So the CDC did say that alcohol kills the coronas. You know, you just.
All right.
I
It
was
is happy
thinking
hour,
that,
Magda. I think
so we
it's
could all
time
have
to
some
go.
vodka or whatever tonight, right? Just keep
I got
doing-
me a bottle of Nemira. So
I keep joking. This is so sad. I keep joking that we're all going to be like drunk and on medication by the time this is over. So just keep drinking your alcohol. We'll kill it off.
Love it.
We'll be
Alcohol
clean.
kills
We'll
the
be
corona.
fed.
Right.
We will be super clean with the TP in our bathrooms. So that's good stuff. But like 2019 was hard, but I guess 2020 said, "Hey, hold my corona."
Yeah.
Hold my hold my beer. Watch this.
That's awesome.
That's gonna be the next meme. That's gonna be the next meme in for 2020. Hold my corona. Watch this.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. I like it. I like it.
Oh, I hope all of us live to see all of that. I hope everybody, if you do have it, get it over with, get healthy, no side effects. And I'm wishing lots of love, health, prosperity, and happiness to everyone.
Amen.
All right. Awesome. Amen.
All right. See y'all next time.
All right.
Ciao.
Thanks,
Love
ladies.
y'all.